Well, folks, it's time to kick it old school. Yeah.
Raj.
Herb.
Raj.
Herb.
Raj.
Herb.
And here we go. Thank you to some friends we won't mention, Justin of the Bourbon Standard, for kind of saying, hey, man, you guys been on vacation for a little bit. You haven't done anything before the bowl game. And I'm like,
yeah.
I mean, he's right. So first off, Raj, it's good to see you, sir.
You too. We had a
very
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're about to say it much better than I am.
We had a very, very eventful holiday season so far. Herb, parents, Herb, Brittany, niece Maddie were out here for a little over a week. Had a really, really great time.
Yeah, my parents and Raj's parents.
Yeah. Okay. I can't believe I answered that. Had a good time eating. Had a few adult beverages. Had some water. I'm sorry. We had some water.
A lot of water.
A lot of water. Watched a lot of sports. Had a
very
really,
good
really
water.
Time. Yes.
So, we're still going on tomorrow night, but of course tomorrow night will be more of the Alabama wrap up, and then Mike and Randy are joining us, so it'll be more Notre Dame and Georgia talk. But for tonight, we wanted to at least give a chance to. Thank you, Randy. What's up, buddy? Good to see you. We will talk to you tomorrow. Very interested in how that's going to go. So, Raj, first off, I guess how this even starts with the preview, you kind of got to start with almost like who's playing and who's not playing, you know?
Yeah.
I plan on going to that one later, but now it just kind of jumps to mind. First part of it, are you shocked at who's decided to play for Alabama?
Honestly, I'm not shocked because we have set a standard over the past several years of players not opting out. Regardless of what type of bowl situation we were in, and obviously most of the times we're in the college football playoffs, so players are going to opt in anyway. But even the years that we didn't make it, most of our players played. Even guys who we knew were probably going to the draft, they played anyway. And I think that just says something about the script A. It says something about the university, about people going to the University of Alabama, that you got to finish what you start. And even with that being said, obviously we have a couple of guys on our team who are probably going to declare for the draft after the game, which is, we probably knew that was coming anyway, and they have the right to do so. But they're still going to play in tomorrow's game, and I'm all for it. I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah. And to be clear, this is not a shout out at any Michigan opt-outs or any opt-outs,
right.
period. And we'll probably touch on the Cam Ward situation tomorrow since that's a story for then. But not a shot at anybody. You have to do what's best for your future. Like, I'm not making the money that any of you guys will ever make.
Yeah.
So you have to make your own individual decisions. But it was not. I'll just say it was nice to see everybody. Sticking in for the game. And what's up, Win? Good to see you. Have a good evening.
With that being said, even with this is a question to you. Even with the players that we have that didn't opt out, do you think they'll play the entire game, or do you think it's going to be a situation where maybe the score determines how long people play?
Okay, so this is you and I have had this talk about opt-outs for a long time. One reason why I don't mind opt-outs is because I understand coaches, some of y'all are fighting for your lives. You need to end the season on a good note. You need to help with recruiting. Fans, we just want to see you win every game, right? We had to talk about tanking in the NFL and how that goes sometimes, and how fans are. We'll talk about that later this week with a Giants fan. How do they feel about win versus loss? For me, there's a part of me that wants to see what we have for next year. Now, I realize there's a quarterback battle brewing next year. I want to see Ty Simpson in a full game in a pressure situation. It's kind of like the Mac Jones versus Bryce Young situation. You got to see Mac Jones in some stuff, and he got to hold off Bryce Young for a year because of how he played. That's what I want to see. So this isn't like anything against Milroe. It's more of if you're leaving, I don't necessarily want you to play the whole game because I want to see what we've got coming back.
Right.
So
I agree.
Kind of more of that.
No, I agree. And I'm going in just to kind of hit on what you just said. I would love to see that too. That's why I guess I pose the question of like if we get to a blowout situation, maybe we see Ty come in earlier. And let's get one thing straight to your point. Another point you hit it. We don't know if Ty is going to be the starter next year. We
Right.
have absolutely no idea. There's going to be a huge QB battle going into spring. Obviously, we recruited the number 2 quarterback in the nation, even though he's a Gatorade National Player of the Year, Elite 11, blah 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 blah. And Keelan Russell from Texas, he's going to be in the mix. You still got Austin Mack, obviously Ty Simpson, guys like that are still going to be in the mix. So we don't know who the starting quarterback is, but it would be nice to see him get more playing time. By him, I'm saying Ty Simpson get more playing time in the game tomorrow, because we've only really seen him in cleanup duty. We've seen him throw a few passes throughout the year, but most of it's handing off the ball, running the offense, just trying to drain out the clock. So I would love to see him maybe get a full obviously he's probably not going to start him since Milroe is playing, but maybe just a full half. That would be nice to see if that can.
Yeah, I agree. I would love to see any other combination that we could get out there and get some reps. So to finish off this subject, because we're going to jump right back to what you said, but we were informed, Orgy, we thought the once starting backup quarterback is actually still with the team and practicing, even though he's in the transfer portal and he plans on playing. My thoughts on that, and it's happened in a couple other bowls this year. I mean, if you're leaving, man, I'm petty. I would just be like, bye,
No, that's how I am too. I kind of feel like if you're already in the portal, that means you don't want to be here. And it's kind of like, why am I giving reps and any attention from the coaching staff standpoint? Why am I getting reps and any type of attention to someone who doesn't want to be here? And again, you have the right to transfer. I get that, but I'm not going to let you play. I'm going to let somebody else play. Maybe somebody who's a freshman or sophomore who needs some playing time, who might actually start next year. I'd rather put them in, regardless of the score, whether we're winning or losing. I want people that want to be here playing in the game. If you're transferring, dude, bye. I'm not putting you in.
Yeah. And it's not like he's been playing great or playing a whole lot since then anyway. He didn't throw a pass against Ohio State. Not that they threw many passes, but I think you just come in for some gadget plays. But like you said, I would just, maybe Michigan's already looking toward the future, and that's kind of one of our bullet points. But yeah, I wouldn't have him around. And that's not him in particular. That's just how I feel. I would be the guy to be like, RG, and point to him and then go, move. I want the guy behind you. And then pull. You know what I mean? Like that's me. And like I said, he is the latest example, but this is not only him. It's just how I feel. I just want the guys that are there are going to be there. And that's who I would give more playing time to.
I agree 1,000%. And I think that's the other issue I have with this portal being open up right now. I really don't think a portal should open up until the season is completely over. All the bowl games, everything. That's when that portal should open up. That way we don't have any of this confusion, and that way players stay with whatever programs they started the year with.
Yeah.
And they finish off like that. But to your point, I don't think you're being petty. I'm with you 1,000%. If Orgy's out there, I'm just gonna be like, listen, man, we appreciate you, but I'm gonna let these other guys get these reps in.
Yeah. And that's it. So going back to a point we just mentioned and how much played. Clicked up 3 random draft boards. One of them PFF, 2 others I just clicked on links. All of them have right now Milroe as the number 3 quarterback. But not necessarily meaning, hey, you're a first rounder. That means you could go anywhere. Does this game have any chance to impact his draft stock?
I think it does. Now, I don't know, even if he has a really, really good passing game, I don't know if that bumps him ahead of Cam Ward or Shedeur. I don't think it gets him to the 1 or 2.
I don't think so either. And I wouldn't, to be honest.
Right. I think this game is going to help out his draft stock. It's just going to help beef it up a little bit, but he's still going to be at that number 3 position if that's how things pan out for the rest of the year. But he has to understand that this is his last audition or his last interview for the NFL draft. And the one thing we all know about Milroe right now, even before tomorrow's game, is that, yes, he can use his leg. He is still labeled as a running quarterback. This is your last game. This is your way to prove to NFL scouts that you can throw the ball and you can be more of a mobile quarterback. Do I think he gets drafted to a team next year and he starts next season? I don't know if that's the best thing for Milroe right now. I think it wouldn't hurt to sit a year or year or two, whatever the case may be, but at least be healthy and be ready to play when the time calls. But even with that being said, him being the number 3 pick or the number 3 QB, that could be, depending on who's picking, could be late first round, maybe if he gets lucky, or second round. That's where I'm leaning right now. But For him, I think he really, really needs to lean heavily on the passing game tomorrow. The judge just so we can kind of see what he can see. If he can have
Plus, Michigan is stout against the run anyway. Like I don't see a situation where he gets off. This is more like, I hate to say it, closer to an Oklahoma situation than people want to admit.
I was just about to say this could turn into an Oklahoma situation really, really quickly if we don't let him pass the ball, get rid of the ball. And even with that being said, as far as him passing the ball, let's see what our passing game is going to look like next year. Let's see what our receivers. We know about Hollywood Williams. We heard rumblings about Bach being receiver. We know Jalen Hill's back at practice. I don't think Hill's going to play. I don't think he's gotten to that point yet.
No,
but we got some young guys out there. To
be honest, you haven't played all year.
Yeah.
You remember Waddle missing most of the year and how he looked in the championship game,
and he was limping. Yeah.
There's no sense in hurting Hill, even if he's ready. If you told me right now he's 100%, and I was like, hey, he didn't play all year, like let that man sit.
I mean, guys, even like Rico Scott. We saw Rico Scott have a heck of a one-handed catch from Austin Mack earlier in the year when we played, I think, Mercer. But just get some of your young receivers out there and just throw the ball around. Let's see what we have going on next year, and that'll set us up easily for whoever starts next year. So, yeah, for Milroe, you really, really want to use your passing game and get between 250. If he can hit the 300-yard mark, fine. But again, that's going to depend on how much he actually plays. I'm guessing if we're playing well enough, he plays the first half and then sits. So I would say between 220 passing yards, I think he'll be okay.
Yep. What's up, Charmaine?
She
had a post a couple weeks ago about how if Milroe came back, she thinks he'd be really dangerous. So, Charmaine, if you're still listening, if that's still your feelings, go ahead and post it. And we'll address it.
How so as far as dangerous? Like more better than what he did this year? And I think that's the question is, would we see that? Like we thought we were going to see it this past year, but it got to a point, he did it for about 4 or 5 games. And then he just kind of plateaued and then was just going back to running Milroe. So if he was to come back, would we actually see that? That would be my question to Charmaine and to anybody else. So, but hey, you're the third QB in the draft right now. You're in good position. Have a good game tomorrow. Stay healthy. I think he's going to have a really, really good combine as long as he opts for the draft, and Milroe will be just fine.
You think he deserves to be ahead of Ewers and Beck right now?
Yes, because of his mobility. Again, we've seen. Let's just break down Ewers right quick. The only thing that's going to really, really hurt Ewers is his injury status.
Right.
There's injury history. I'm sorry. I mean, he's been hurt every single year. We know he's a good pocket passer, although he didn't play well against both games against Georgia. Carson Beck, little healthier. We know Carson Beck can run a little bit.
Hurt himself this year a lot.
He did hurt himself with that UCL injury or the elbow injury.
I mean, just the way he played, and I think the perception, some of those stories coming out from there, true or not, how we have no inside sources, but a lot of people around the organization just seem to be, thinking he got the kind of big head this year.
Yep.
So. It'd be interesting. He's probably one of the more interesting stories too, as well.
Yeah,
between him and Milroe.
Right now, I would take Beck right after Milroe. To be honest with you, I say I got Shador, Cam Ward, Milroe, then Beck, then Ewers, and then after that, it could be a plethora of different people coming out.
You just like plethora? Is that your word?
I do like that word. That word. And again, I do think Ewers is one of the better pocket passers out of the bunch, but his injury history and his lack of mobility is what's gonna hurt him a little bit.
Yep. I agree. So that kind of brings us back to one of our main points. How much does revenge play into this game for Alabama? And I'm going to say this. I'm going to start it off on the opposite side. I feel like Michigan's playing with house money. You beat Ohio State.
Yep.
You've already secured your quarterback of the future.
Yep.
You won a national championship last year. If you win this game, that's a cherry on top. If you lose this game, you were supposed to lose anyway, so it doesn't matter. So for Michigan, they're like, hey, whatever happens, we're good.
Right.
So from the Alabama mindset, how much do you think that plays in? And is that more of a fan thing or a player thing or both?
I think it's more of a fan thing. I mean, I don't really look at it too much as a revenge game because it's not for a college football.
Hold on, let me. We were talking about Beck.
We're talking about Carson Beck,
Carson Beck. That's the story kind of coming out of
Milroe. Yeah, Milroe did not get the big head.
Yeah. Or if he did, I don't know. His stuff plateaued. But when we said that comment, it was specifically about Beck.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like this isn't really. I don't look at this really like a revenge game because it's not a college football playoff game. Yeah, they did beat us last year, but I mean, let's just be honest. If we were actually to lose tomorrow, what is it really? Is it really going to hurt us that much? Not really. Maybe if you look at Kalen DeBoer's first year, it would hurt him a little bit because we would really love to end on a 10-win season. That's about it. Regardless, though, we can't overlook Michigan in any fashion, regardless of. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're right.
Oh, yeah. Regardless,
I'm shaking my head like I agree.
Oh yeah, we can't overlook Michigan at all. We need to go in this game as a normal game, heads up and ready to put in some fight.
Yeah. No, I agree. I definitely think the revenge thing is kind of more fan driven, and we hate it. And then there's a couple guys. Milroe probably wishes he had a better performance in that one, but yeah, I approach it more. I really want a 10-win season in his first year.
Yep.
So
same here.
Yeah, Caesar. I mean, it is an exhibition game, but it's kind of like the Oklahoma game. You win this, and it's good for you. If you lose it, the losing team is. We still have 2 Oklahoma fans that will not let us forget the Oklahoma game. I'm like, y'all went 6-7. You lost your last 2 games, but
from their perspective, it's we beat Bama. That's it. And regardless of record, and regardless of how bad we played, they beat Bama, so that made their season.
Yep. So, no, I agree with you more on that one though. So that kind of brings us into the last part of then with this little pop-up show we're doing, kind of how we expect the game to play out, you know. And again, I guess I'll take the other side first. I expect it to be a lot like Ohio State. They're going to lean on their defense.
Yep.
Probably not take a whole lot of chances on offense, run the ball a lot, punt the ball a lot. I mean, you might look on the side and see Venables sitting over there at some point, helping coach him up. I mean, it's going to look to me exactly like Oklahoma game.
Yep.
So, and they have lost. What, their 2 leading rushers are opted out.
Leading rushers are out. Yeah.
But you know, I still see that the way to go for them. So, what do you think about from the Alabama side?
From the Alabama standpoint, I feel like we need to approach the game and start the game the same way we did Georgia. If you remember, before the Georgia game started, I said, man, we're probably going to run the ball. That Georgia game, I think the first 4 plays were passing plays in all different directions, too. Just all – I mean, it was over here to Ryan Williams and over here. Then we did the deep ball to Manuel. That's what we need to do. We need to say, hey, we're going to pass the ball a lot this game. And then if we can do that effectively, it'll open up the run game when necessary. But that's how we need to approach it. Now, is that what's going to happen tomorrow? I hope so. I hope we don't come out run, because that's what they're going to be ready for.
Yep. It's funny to talk about it like if they force Milroe to throw, that's better for them because he is our quarterback. I just don't see them getting off on the ground, you know. So that's that's he has. I mean,
that's exactly what Herb and I were mentioning earlier. He's got to look like that pocket passing QB. No fumbles, no turnovers, no bad passes. Keep it cool. Another reason I say that is because we look at Shedeur and Cam Ward. They lost both of their games and they didn't play. Cam Ward put up better numbers. Shedeur didn't play too well. I hope it's not like the QB effect or something like that. So
right.
I'm hoping Jalen has a better game than both of them.
Yeah, I think for him, he's got to handle adversity better. You know, it just seems like in our games, if he gets off kilter in the first quarter, he's done. You know, and you've got to. You can't run so hot or cold. You know, you've got to find some way to even it out. You know, you're playing a good defense no matter who suits up over there. You know, you know what they want to take away. They know what your strength is. That's got to be better in this game. So having said that, man, I think our defense is going to be fine. I think we will keep this no matter what happens offensively. But then you kind of go to like the Tennessee game. Offense is holding it down. I mean, defense is holding it down. If your offense never does,
right?
You know, you don't want to let a team, you know, come out. That's what they did against Michigan. You know, Ohio State. I hate to keep harping on that game, but that's what it is. So that's Charmaine. That's one reason. It's when teams force him to pass, and he doesn't get running, and he doesn't feel comfortable. He doesn't like. Raj and I were at the Oklahoma game, and we knew after the first half, like I knew after the first quarter, it was going to be a tough one. You know, I knew we were never going to get off, but I said the way the third quarter starts will be it. When he threw the first interception, I knew we weren't coming back. We just don't.
Yep.
We're just he's just not that kind of quarterback at this stage of his career, and he's got to learn, man. If he does get drafted, and you go to a terrible team, it's going to be a rough first year. It might be a rough first 3 years. You can't always be the guy when you're winning and disappear when you're losing.
That's
what's
why
up,
I said
Kat? Sorry, I'll let you give you a point. What's up,
drafted to
Kat?
the right, if he gets
We're watching it too, Kat, so we understand.
If that's why I mentioned earlier, if Milroe gets drafted to the right team, and by right team, I am going to be biased, and you know which team I'm talking about. If we could somehow, if Miami,
you want him to get him on the Jets?
Oh Lord, the Jets need a lot of help. Listen, they'll need Milroe. If they threw Milroe out there, Milroe started for the Jets next year, it will be an absolute disaster. We can't save him for that. If he got drafted to a team like my Dolphins, I mean, think about it. You've got the running back core, you've got your wide receivers, you've got a good tight end, you've got all the pieces right there. You just got to stay healthy. That's it. If anything was to happen to Tua, that would be a perfect position. He'd sit for a few years, get some playing time whenever he can, and he'd be all right. But if he's getting drafted to a team where he starts immediately, I don't know if that's the best thing for him right now. I mean, we see what happens to a lot of rookie quarterbacks. And I mean, Caleb Williams, we all thought he was going to have a superior. Well, I'm not going to say that. Not everybody thought that, but I thought the season was going to be a little better than it is. They've only won 4 games, got the receivers, got to build up the offensive line. So it just depends on where Milroe lands to.
If he goes to the Steelers, I want them to get another couple weapons on offense.
Yeah.
Because even they just look better. You can't have it all going through Pickens. I don't trust him all the time. I do like him sitting for another season or two, and I do think Russ has probably earned himself something, but I need a better offense for him and maybe a better offensive. I love Mike Tomlin, but I don't think of offense when I think of him, and I want them to develop more. So that's my only fear with him. So I just like Charmaine. I just don't think that like the season, the coaching style that these guys want to play and this coaching staff is just more pass oriented. They need a more accurate mid range pass. So.
And I feel
Kat
like
had mentioned real quick. Sorry, Matt. Kat had mentioned this. I want to say on last week's show that she'd love to see him transfer, go somewhere. I think if he stayed college ball, he'd have to go somewhere where they wanted more of a running quarterback, and I just don't think our style is going to fit that next year for him.
And then if you transfer, you play another year of college, there's always another way. It's always another year to risk being hurt or injured. And look, his draft stock is high right now. Lean on that. Have a good game. Have a good ending. He'll be all right.
Yeah. You're also coming out in a time where the draft class for quarterbacks is not that great.
Exactly.
So you have a much better chance. So
and I think DeBoer kind of going into the season, he leaned on Milroe because Milroe was the captain. He's coming back. He's the leader of your team. He didn't want to ruffle too many feathers, so that's who he stuck with. But going into, to your point, going into next year, DeBoer gets to pick his guy as quarterback, and then we're going to see what the offense looks like in 2025. So I think
that's
it's the time.
Reason. It's nothing bad on Milroe. I do think it's time for him to go. So, and that's basically it.
Yeah,
I do think it's the best time for him to go with the draft class. The other thing about getting drafted, like second round or third round, is you're not expected to start soon. I feel like I mean, we've used Anthony Richardson as a comp, right? They took Anthony Richardson with the 4th pick. Look at how they've bungled him the entire time he's been there, starting, not starting, like what's going on.
Injured,
I don't feel like Milroe needs to start year 1 in the NFL.
Right.
He needs to get into a good situation. So that's mostly what I wanted to. I feel like we started off with kind of a bold preview and it kind of turned into the Milroe show. But he is, to me, the biggest player in this game and one of the most polarizing players in Alabama history. The highs have been really high, the lows have been really low. But it's kind of like I said, this is depending on how much he plays in this game, this is the last chance to kind of maybe improve any draft stock. Like you said, he's not moving past the top 2, but maybe solidify himself as a late first round, early second round person versus possibly third round kind of pick where he might be right now. So who knows? I think we kind of covered though where we think this game is actually going to play out as far as the bowl preview. Are you ready to make a score prediction?
I am ready to make a score prediction. I've actually been thinking about my score prediction since we decided to do the show. Can I go ahead or do I have
go ahead. Go ahead. I'm just looking up something else for tomorrow real quick.
I feel like if our offense could get moving in the right way quick enough, we can end this game with a score of 35-10. I do think they'll put up a few points here and there, but it's going to be more on the run game on the ground for them. I don't think their passing game is nearly as close as ours, so it's going to be 35-10. I'll leave with that.
35. Ooh, I still think we're going to score that much. I feel like Michigan's going to be grinded out, chew the clock. Every first down is going to take another 3 to 4 minutes, it feels like. I do think we win, but I'm kind of more in like the 24-10 kind of range just because of that. Not that we're better. And yeah, Kat, that was something we talked about. That was actually kind of where we started talking about opt-outs.
Yeah.
That was great. And like I said, no shot at any opt-outs, but this is the great point.
Yeah,
it is.
Charmaine, we actually talked about this earlier.
I don't know why.
We wish this was like a primetime game, a 7 p.m. game, but for some reason they have Alabama playing at 11. I'm going to be at work. I'm still going to tune into the game, but I don't know if it'll affect us, to be honest. I think we'll still play all right, but I would rather – Herb and I would prefer the game be a night game, at least a primetime game.
Yeah. But we seem to start slower in the morning games too. So, but yeah, I'm more like 24-10, 24-7, something like that. Okay. I just think they're going to try and shorten the game as much as possible.
Yep.
So that's why. One quick one, and we'll if we pick separate, we'll send this to Mike and put it as part of our pick segment, but only because this game will be on when we're on air. So I think we're going to go on air around halftime. Penn State, Boise State. Any quick thoughts about that game?
I just think Penn State's going to dominate. They are going to dominate this game. I think Boise State is just the one-trick pony type show. They're going to run the ball. They're going to try as hard as they can to run Ashton Jeanty the ball, give them around 25 to 30 carries, and to see how many yards they can get, but that's just not going to win the game. Penn State doesn't have the best passing attack, but I think they're going to use it a little bit enough to their advantage. But other than that, I think Penn State wins this game.
Does the fact that Boise State played Oregon close change your mindset at all?
No. I think Boise State just got lucky in that game.
I'm not a Penn State person at all, but I do think they win this game, Herman. I think they win it pretty handily. I think they lean on the defense. You might see one of the most boring second halves ever. They get a little bit of a lead because they're the kind of team that has no problem running for a whole second half and not throwing any passes. So yeah, Cat going back to 10 o'clock. It'll be 11 for us, 10 o'clock, but and that's a thought for tune in tomorrow night, and we'll be talking a little bit more about that game too as well. So Rob, I think we covered all of our bullet points, and we're getting right at the 30-minute mark. We just kind of want to throw this out. Again, shout out to Justin for suggesting.
Yeah, appreciate you, Justin.
Beautiful faces on air so everybody could see. Any final thoughts about the game?
Not really, man. Just excited to kind of get it over with so that we can end the season with a 10-win season. I think that's good for the program, good for DeBoer, and I think there's a bright future ahead for Alabama football.
Are you going to be mad if I text you a bunch and I'm going, did you see that? And you're like, I'm at work. Like, how many times can I do that and get away?
I'm going to be at work, but I know how to multitask.
AKA no work will get done. So Charmaine and Kat, y'all are two of the ones commenting. Y'all have any score predictions before we let y'all go totally? And we'll go back to the original. Tomorrow night, like you said, we got Mike, 5'0" POD coming on, and Randy, a damn beast, coming on, and we'll talk a little bit about the Bama game, Michigan. How much we talk about it depends on if we win or not. Then we will go into their game, the Notre Dame and Georgia game, and then we'll still talk about the other two playoff games that'll be going on Wednesday as well. Surprisingly, I don't have much work to do on Wednesday, so I might be enjoying a full day of some playoff action. And Raj and I will actually be going live during with the Cinco Squad live on Wednesday their show Wednesday night. So you're going to get a lot of us this week. I know everybody missed us last week. You're going to get a lot of us this week. So Kat with no score predictions. Kat usually has the best score predictions too. This was I think that's an excellent point, and I don't think it can be understated. This was the group that had to move from Saban to DeBoer. That stuck around, and maybe one of the most critical seasons in Alabama history. People didn't want the drop off when they wouldn't have dropped when Saban came in. The situation, we were in a disarray. The expectations for DeBoer and this group of young men, and that's why I feel bad sometimes when I'm hard on Milroe because he could have left.
Yep.
I probably had a lot of offers elsewhere, and he stayed and helped hold this group together. No matter what you thought of them on the field at times, man, this group did a lot for Alabama football. And I would love to see them win, like we said, get to 10 wins. And that's an excellent season. I don't care what you say. I mean, you're probably only trading, not trading with 12 teams in the country. Every other team is like, 10 wins, great season, a lot to build on for next season. So
I agree. Couldn't have said it any better.
We will talk about that tomorrow.
Tomorrow night,
Charmaine, for sure. So hopefully you can tune in and catch us. So, Raj, always a pleasure. It's funny. I look at the clock sometimes like, man, how are we going to get up to 30 minutes? And then the next time I look at it, it's like 30 minutes. We forgot to mention this. Shout out to Malachi Moore.
Had that surgery,
had the surgery. It was playing banged up. You feel like the coaches had to just finally say, look, man, you've been hurt all year.
Yeah.
Go ahead and get this taken care of earlier so you can kind of protect whatever draft stock you have.
Yes.
And we appreciate what you did. Sometimes the coaches have to protect the players from themselves. And I feel like, I don't know, but I feel like that's one of those situations. But shout out to Malachi Moore for sure, man. And good, Cat. We will see you tomorrow. All right. Raj, we're not going to leave that banner up. Right? We'll leave this banner up. Appreciate you, sir.
Appreciate you.
We'll see you tomorrow night. We're going to have a lot of fun. And as always,
look forward to it.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.